Thank you very much for waiting. Now we are going to start the lunchtime program. If you have not received your bento yet, if you haven't got one, please speak to staff nearby. Once again, please do not open your bento yet. The bento will be explained and you can enjoy the bento during the presentation. So now we are going to start the lunchtime program, Healthy Lunch Culture Bento. The owner chef of Hôtel Mikuni, Mr. Kiyomi Mikuni, will explain the Japanese traditional lunchbox bento, which contains everything from entree to dessert. So he's going to explain bento's ingredients, nutrition balance, and cultural festive aspects of it. Before that, please watch the video.
やっぱり魂を移動させるってことですよね。そのものに作った時にその自分の気持ちというか、まあ思いというかね。
北海道が生んだ世界的料理人三國清三。このほどフランス政府が彼の功績をたたえて農事功労賞オフィシエを叙勲。輝かしい足跡を重ねる世界の三國。その歩みは豊かな自然に抱かれた北海道から始まっている。1954年増毛町に生まれる。わんぱくだったという幼少期、父親の漁を手伝いながら育った。料理人の道を志したのは15歳の時。修行時代は札幌グランドホテルから始まった。東京帝国ホテルに修行の場を移すと、村上料理長の推薦により若干20歳にしてスイスの日本大使館で料理長に就任。その傍らフランス料理界の天才フレディ・ジラルデ氏の教えを受ける。さらに数々の三つ星レストランで修行を重ね、1983年に帰国。その後は現在に至るまで文字通りワールドワイドな活躍を続けている。世界各国の一流ホテルで開催された三國フェスティバルをはじめ、あらゆる場で彼の作り出す一品一品が人々の心を掴んでいる。その原点はやはりふるさとに。
この浜をですねずーっと親父とこう歩くと、そこに必ずホヤがあったんですよ。でホヤをこの海辺で切って洗ってここで海水でそれを食べてたんですよ。ホヤっていうのは唯一は海のパイナップルって言われて、甘みと酸味と塩味と苦味が4味があるんです。それで鍛えてたんですね。それは後々世界に出ていって分からないですけどね
世界が納得する三國の味、すべてはここ増毛町北海道から始まっている。
こんにちは。
Good afternoon. Don't open the lunchbox yet. I'll be short. As you have watched the video, the herrings catch was shown in Mashike in Hokkaido. I was born there. And that was the video of 100 years ago. 60 years ago, in the offshore of Mashike, there was no catch of herring at all. That was the whole story. When I come to Kyoto, you enjoy herring soba. Throughout Japan, probably the only place where they serve the herring and buckwheat noodle is Kyoto. When you open the bento box, you can have the joy and surprise instantaneously. Don't open it yet. So I will explain what's contained there as well as the effects of bento. Once you appreciate that in your brain, your taste and level of appreciation will be 100 times larger. If you open it, usually you can get this kind of thing. Inside of bento, protein, lipids, and starch, there's a very nice balance. These red hatched areas are the ones you get from the content of bento. More protein is contained here. And don't open that yet. On the right-hand side, you can find the fresh tomato soup in a bowl. It's a cold style, intentionally. If it is warm, I think we have approximately 400 people. It gets cold by the time it is served in front of you. So it's better if it is served cold in this kind of gathering. And as you know, tomato contains lycopene. A lot of them is contained there. The vegetable fibers are well taken by this. And sticky salad, sticky food is found in natto, fermented soybeans, and there is kukonomi. They usually are used as the ingredients for Chinese food. This is for long life. If you had a piece of it, you can long 10 years longer. If you eat 3 pieces, you can also triple the long life. If you don't want to live that long, don't eat them. And next one is tofu hamburg, although it says tofu leaves. And it contains lecithin, which works for the prevention of senility and aging. And this can make you get rid of the unnecessary cholesterol. And this next one is vegetable grill.
It has broccoli, which is very good for anti-aging, especially green vegetables are good for anti-aging. And it reduces bad estrogen. So that's contained too. Next, curry rice. Yellow pigment turmeric is used for the rice. It has antioxidative effect, and this is good for hangover. I actually have a bit of hangover today. And curry sauce includes gluten meat. Thank you for laughing for a joke. Thank you. Okay, so with foreign visitors, I want to go out drinking tonight as well, if you want to. So this gluten meat is made of a soy protein. So my joke is working with the foreign visitors, not with Japanese people. And it has carrots too, and yogurt too. Next is salmon. The color is orange, and it contains 1,000 greater antioxidative effect than beta-carotene. And it grows and that has collagen generative effect too. And next is fruits. On top of fruits, we put persimmon fruit. Made in Fukushima, it has a lot of kalium, and it's especially good for hangover. So there are other various fruits contained too. I think this is the last one, last page. This is black sesame blancmange. Sesame contains sesamine, nutrition. So again, this is good for hangover as well. Well, Japanese people get very bad hangovers. So when they go out drinking after work, they always get a hangover 2/3 of the time. And sesame is good for hangover, and it's good for preventing lifestyle disease. So let's open the bento. Not yet. I'm going to tell you when to open it. Okay, so let's say, itadakimasu, bon appetit. Please open now. Okay, open the lid of the bowl for soup as well. So you can start enjoying and eating. I am going to make my presentation about bento, so please enjoy as you eat. So this has only 590 calories, and the soup has 180 grams. Bento is 580. So the weight is 760 grams. And weight is extremely important because for one meal, you have to eat 500 to 600 grams. Because unless you feel satisfied, your stomach is filled, you are going to eat many times. Normally, we eat 3 meals. I eat sometimes 5 times a day. And every time, you should eat 500 to 600 grams. So we are talking about anti-aging and other things. You have to eat a lot of vegetables and seaweed, and you have to make sure that you get full. Otherwise, you will keep eating many times a day. So weight of the food is very important. Okay? Do you understand?
で、皆さん召し上がりながらちょっと。
While you are enjoying lunch, you don't have to listen to my talk if you don't want to. But anyway, bento in French. Last year, in Tours, France, there is the National University. France is up there. I have received the honorary doctorate, and this is the dissertation or the paper I have prepared under the title of Bento. It's written in French, so I will explain that in Japanese. But it's all written in French here. My wish is to convert that to English, Chinese, and Korean, so that this bento lectures can be read by many people. We are asking ministry so that I can be the lecturer, but this offer was declined. Please help us so that this can be passed by the ministry. I have invested a lot of money and time to prepare this. So I wrote this in the form of the paper. I will explain that in Japanese. It's written in Japanese. You don't have to focus on this, so please enjoy your bento. In Japan, we have 4 seasons from spring through winter. Depending on the season, there is the difference in cutting the vegetables and ingredients. This shows the history of washoku. This shows honzen ryori and kaiseki ryori. And this is the sort of the full course dishes. foreigners have difficulties in understanding what the full course in Japanese is. So the relationship between Washoku and French is explained here. In 1800s, France started to serve full course dinner. And Kaiseki course of Japan was also born at almost the same time in 1800s. Wonderful coincidence. One soup and 3 dishes, side dishes. I lecture them in French. What the bento is all about, the meaning of bento, that has to be useful wherever you are. And no matter what kind of occasion you are, 8th century, 700, and recently there are changes, chronological order of bento and makunochi for entertainment, and the picnics are prepared, koraku bento. And this is the container of boxes, and there are chronological orders of those bento boxes. This is also the history of bento boxes and containers, 1300, 1500, 1600. This is Washoku-Do bento, very epoch-making. Do you know who invented this? Please raise your hand if you know. I am not the one, but predecessor of Yuki, the one generation before the current chef Yuki of Kicho invented this bento Washoku-Do. So this is the Japanese flag-like bento. The background is white and the plum in the center red. American soldiers admired this, looking at this. Indeed, although Japan was defeated without anything to eat, only with the plum and rice, as if it were the national flag, with very patriotic feelings, they can enjoy this bento, and they gave the very strong credit to the Japanese approach. This is the relationship between bento and rice. And this triangle, the shape one, is to be offered in front of the deity. And sushi, I believe the foreigners love sushi. Japanese dishes, sushi is the representative. Sushi equals to the Japanese cuisine. If I am reincarnated, I hope I can become the chef or the sushi. Usually I stay in the kitchen, but in sushi, chef can cook sushi, and I can get acquainted with the beautiful ladies if I serve sushi in front of the counter. So this is also the history of sushi, 1600s and 1700s. Those are the bento served and cooked at home. I believe French people love this. Japanese moms, 3 years, 6 years, 12 years, and 18 years, depending on the children's ages, the shape of the bento and the characters are changed. Other than Japan, and also including Western countries, in English, how many times do you have to tell, I love you, honey? Honey? I love you. How many times do you have to say to your wife? 10 times. But Japanese husbands would not say that, even at a day. But they can communicate that with eye contact. And bento, again, mothers get up early in the morning at 5 o'clock and putting their favorites of the children and put them in the box, and children will consume everything. And after they come back home, they can appreciate how they have loved that lunch. And this is the love expressions of mothers to their children. This was also a joke too. And nowadays, Japanese children are having fun in preparing their bento themselves. A lot of variations here. We say we are now moving into the aging society, and elderly people live all by himself or herself, and there is a courier service or delivery service, and there is always a communication whether they are doing fine, checking their health condition of the elderly people by delivery. And also nutritional content. President Bush in the United States some time ago at the time the American people were suffering from obesity, President Bush thought about the use of Japanese washoku to be used as a basis for the American food. That was the recommendation. So much so, bento contains a lot of different nutritions. This shows the relationship between bento and culture. Osechi dishes and cuisine which are prepared for the New Year's. And it is very much connected to the daily bento. Seasonal events and festivities, Girls' Day, Boys' Day. When I went to France, they are full of us. Do you eat lunch in front of the graves and tombstones in the graveyard? That's silly, but it is okay for Japanese people to enjoy lunch at the graveyards. So that was a surprise for French people. This is the tribute to the ancestors and respect to be expressed for our ancestors. Hanami, thus the cherry blossom enjoying bento, and at the time of the performance plays enjoyment. And spring, summer, and fall time, bento can be enjoyed.
This is Zashiki space. We go to Zashiki space, and these different variety of bento can be enjoyed. And ekiben or station bento from Hokkaido to Okinawa, there are various kinds of ekiben, and they are competing with each other to promote their local specialty. Soraben or airport bento, we often buy these. Now, let's look at the bento containers all over the world. China, the Philippines, Indonesia, Bhutan, Taipei, India, Laos, Thailand, America. That looks good. And Australia, Denmark, Portugal, France is for pot of, and Ethiopia, Turkey. Okay, that's it. So this shows how big the bento is a boom in France. Joël Robuchon, do you know? You don't know? Mr. Alan Ducasse, who's here with us today, he's the same age as I am. And then Joël Robuchon is like God. Before was Paul, now is Alan Ducasse. They're like God of French cuisine. So even Mr. Robuchon, he actually made all these bentos. But this is secret to you. He did not say this in France. He only did this business in Japan. If he made an announcement of this in France, that would be big news. So even Robuchon did this. Now bento is going to space too, space food. Different things are developed. Finally, Bento is a type of washoku of Japan. So when I come to think of it, well, actually the university asked me to make a presentation about Bento. So that's why I created this presentation, and it took me about 6 months to make this presentation. There are many things contained in Bento, and I believe that Bento is the Washoku culture itself. Okay, that's it. I think my time is up. Please take your time, enjoy your bento. So please chew rice at least 30 times in your mouth. I still have a bit of time, I guess. Okay, so today, Mr. Alan Dukas, same age as I am, and Mr. Alan Chappell, he was called Da Vinci of kitchen, and he was very close to God of cuisine, and Mr. Alan Dukas was a disciple of Alan Chappell, and I was taught by Mr. Alan Chappell too. As I said before, Mr. Alan Dukas is the #1 chef in the world. Before was Mr. Robson and Paul Bocuse, currently Alan Dukas. So young French chefs are all of them. They want to learn from his business sense and also cuisine, culinary techniques. He's now leading the world. After this, Mr. Thierry Marx, is he going to come to the session after this? Was his session over? No, not yet. Okay, so Mr. Thierry Marx is going to come to the stage later. 15 years ago, I discovered his talent. He was in Bordeaux at that time. Well, I called him, invited him to Japan for the first time 15, 16 years ago. And he is judo black belt. And I think he does kendo as well, and he's very good, and he will come to Japan for a match. He is very logical or scientific chef. He analyzes food. He's one of the best in this field. Well, it's a rare approach by French chefs, and his father is a bakery, and then 2 other young French chefs are going to come up to the stage later. And when I invited him to Japan 15 years ago, he said there's one condition. He wanted to meet with Yamashita, the judo master at Kodokan. So he is really familiar with Japanese culture. Mr. Alan Dukas, Mr. Thierry Marx, both of them are going to promote washoku in the world. Those two, they respect Japan, they know Japan, and we respect them. We call them maître. So Japanese chefs' techniques in French cuisine have very much improved on a very high level. But when we look at Mr. Alan Dukas and Thierry Marx, we were taught by them. We have been taught by them. We learned from them. And that's our foundations. We should never forget that. Bento, it's a natural matter, of course, for something that we take for granted as Japanese, but it's a big boom in the world. Now in France, but I think it's going to be a boom in the UK, Asia, and the Americas as well. Okay. Sorry to disturb you while you're eating. Now I will conclude. Thank you very much.